Donald Trump is not pleased with Christie, who of course was a Trump loyalist until he decided to criticize Trump following the January 6th riots in the Capitol. So what Trump has done is release a statement in response to Christie's criticisms. And what were those criticisms? Well, let me give you Christie and then we'll get to Trump a little later. Christie had said the following: "We can no longer talk about the past and the past elections. No matter where you stand on that issue, no matter where you stand, it is over. Every minute that we spend talking about 2020, while we're wasting time doing that, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer are laying ruin to this country. We better focus on that and take our eyes off the rear view mirror and start looking through the windshield again." So that was the statement that Christie had made. And really, he's not the only one. Republicans are trying to shift the focus away from the 2020 election and this lie that it was stolen from Donald Trump. Christie also emphasized that without Trump in the spotlight, Republican candidates are, able to connect with voters more easily. He said this: "People want us to be direct with them." Because Christie is really known for being direct with his supporters or with Republican voters. He also says they want someone to fight for them, but they want them to fight in a way that doesn't hurt their ears. We have to speak to their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations for the future. If we don't do that, then we don't once again win back the votes that we began to win back in Virginia and New Jersey last Tuesday night. Now, in comes Donald Trump, not very pleased with this. Of course, he calls Christie a rhino, Republican in name only. And he also adds this: Christie, who just made a speech at the Republican Jewish Coalition in Las Vegas, was just absolutely massacred by his statements that Republicans have to move on from the past, meaning the 2020 election fraud. Everybody remembers that Christie left New Jersey like a less than 9% approval rating, a record low, and they didn't want to hear this from him. And let's just clear the record, I guess. Let's fact check Trump. It's not like it looks really good for Christie anyway, but his record low was actually 14% according to RCP, and it dropped after Christie was seen chilling at the beach during the lockdown. So there's that. But Christie's not a good guy. Trump's not a good guy. It is kind of enjoyable to watch them go at it like this.
Yeah, so Christie's a funny guy because he's so political and brazenly so, and the mainstream media loves him. He's like the kind of greasy, old school politician that they can't get enough of. So Christie makes these comments. Why now? Because Youngkin, the Republican who won in Virginia, distanced himself from Trump and didn't lose. He won anyway. So Christie thinks, ooh, there's political space to critique Trump a little bit so I can keep my media job and get paid a lot of money. And you start to tell the Republican audience, you could vote for someone other than Trump with the same message, wink, wink, right? So and no profile encouraged here. The coward comes out when he thinks it's a slightly safe space for him to come out against Trump. And then Trump, of course, bitch slaps him down and goes, "Hey, Mr. 9%, who the hell do you think you are?" Now remember, Christie was a sad schlep who thought it was politically advantageous to suck up to Trump after he lost him in the 2016 primary. And he'd stand behind him like a goon in all the press conferences like, and he gave him his establishment credibility by standing behind him like that.
Yes,
and he mistakenly thought that he was gonna get picked as vice president. And then Trump was like, "No, you schmuck, don't you know me at all? All I ever do is pump and dump. I tell you guys, oh yeah, I'm gonna get, so you're gonna be in such great shape, you're gonna get an important position, either vice president or attorney general, and then I dump your stupid ass. You're a bunch of suckers and losers." And Christie's like, "Oh, I didn't get any positions." He cried about that for 4 straight years. And then of course, mainstream media sees him, ABC. They look at him and they're like, "Oh, you're a slimy politician who tried to take advantage of Trump but couldn't? You're hired." As long as you give tiny little critiques of him. This is how the game is played.
Listen, one of my favorite things to see play out, and I've seen it many times, is when the chickens, they come home. And Cenk, what do they come home to do?
I think that it's roosting. I'm going with roosting.
Yes, the chickens do come home to roost, Chris Christie, and all of the other Trump loyalists who made their beds and now find themselves sleeping in it, right? 2 cliches in one comment. I think I've gone overboard. I apologize for that. But no, I love to see it. I love to see it. And let me just make one other note about Youngkin's win in Virginia. So while it is true that Youngkin didn't lean on Donald Trump to win in the general election, this is for the gubernatorial race, during the primary, he happily took Trump's endorsement and did not distance himself from Donald Trump. So I say that because in regard to appealing to Republican voters, Trump is still a favorite. He just is. In regard to appealing to some independent voters, you might want to distance yourself from Trump in a general election, right? So I just find it hilarious that Chris Christie sees like a tiny bit of an opening, and this is how they are, right? You think these lawmakers are thicker than thieves? Hell no, they'll turn on each other at the drop of a hat, like in a second. And that's exactly what you see with Chris Christie and other Republican lawmakers. Love to see it.
Yeah, I love to see it too. And since this is a story about politicians being self-serving, I'm gonna be a little bit self-serving. Did you guys know that there's now super thanks on the videos? So if you like a video or you like something in the video, you could actually donate through the videos that you're watching. It's right below the video. And so if you like me doing Chris Christie impressions, that's one way to go. Or if there's anything where you go, damn right, I want them to speak for me. The super thanks also lets us know, oh, they like that material. I don't mean just like jokes, of course not. I mean more substantively. Then that allows us to give you more of what you like. So thank you for doing that. It's right below the video. And I appreciate Chris Christie giving me an opportunity to do that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.